Again, welcome to the PracticeAdmin ICD-10 overview for resellers. I was waiting to see if some others are going to join us. We haven't had some people I was waiting on, but I guess I will record this and then send them a link to view it later. So first of all, we've got Jim Brannon. He's the PracticeAdmin Director of Sales with us, and I'm Tamara Hyatt, managing the marketing. We've been conducting weekly ICD-10 webinars for our customers, and I've had a great response to that. So I encourage you, if you do need to sort of educate yourself and bring yourself up to date on what the top questions are, to go back and view those recorded webinars. They are available on our website, and I'll send you some links to those. All right, Jim, are you there?
I am here, yes. Thank you, Tamara.
And
I just have a couple of comments to add. First of all, echoing what you just said, we are grateful for all of you who logged in and signed in for this today. It's one of the near the last in a series that we've been putting on that have been highly successful, as Tamara pointed out. And some of you, as our partners, are probably doing the same thing. I know Savasity is conducting webinars as well for their clients and prospects. We found this has been extremely beneficial in opening up potential pitfalls that none of us have actually anticipated. And just to give a quick example before I let Tamara go on with the formal part, just this past week, we had a billing company, a good customer of ours, get a call from a provider. Otherwise, excellent provider in every way, and the provider just asked the billing company manager point blank, hey, when this October 1 thing comes around, all my ICD-9 codes are just going to automatically be converted to ICD-10, aren't they? And he about fainted, of course, because that's kind of why we're doing all this. The anticipation of what's going to happen is possibly an overkill in some areas, but I think we are, as a country, possibly, or as anyone touching the healthcare IT, we may be sorely underestimating the effect it will have on some people out of many things: ignorance of the process, failure to contact their provider or their vendors, and so forth. So that's kind of the purpose of these, but we hope you'll have questions. If you don't see something you expected to see or you want more information, and as Tamara pointed out, this is recorded and we'll have it available on the website.
Right.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thanks, Jim. And again, I want to remind everybody, it doesn't matter how ready your customer or you think you are, something will go wrong. I think those of us who live through 5010, we know that and we experience that and we can expect that. So you want to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. So today, briefly, we're going to have a little bit of an ICD-10 refresher, tell you a little bit about PracticeAdmin and what we're doing and how we're ready, review sort of what tools you need, some tips, some ICD-10 tips that you can use and share with your customers, some top questions that we've been hearing, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the latest release notes for 6.9 for PracticeAdmin, and then we'll open up to any questions you have and we'll try to answer those. So first of all, very quickly, if you want to hear sort of the varying perspectives on why we're doing this, you can go back and listen to the last webinars we've been doing, and it's been interesting as our panelists get in and sort of give some different ideas on why we're doing this. First of all, this is nothing new. It's been around since 1992, and we are one of the last countries to implement it. Bottom line is, it's going to give us a lot of data, and which is going to improve diagnosis and outcomes. Everybody who's covered by HIPAA must make this transition to ICD-10. We get one of the top questions we get, though, is why can't I just use ICD-9 codes and 10 codes when we submit? Well, no, you can't do that. As of October 1st, it is only going to be ICD-10 codes, and we'll get into that a little bit more. The impact you can see from the numbers alone. First of all, briefly, the number of fields is increasing. The old codes were approximately 18,000. With the new field increase in the new codes, that's jumping to 150,000. So that gives you an idea of the scope of the change involved. Now, just to keep in mind, we've also had the question where the process doesn't change, it's just the codes that are changing. So a little bit, again, the benefit of doing this is that practices in general can expect higher reimbursements. The more information you have, the more discrete information you have on diagnosis and treatments results in higher repayments. Something we've been telling practices to alert them. You don't have to learn every new code. You just need to learn the codes that are relevant to your practice that you use, those top codes. And I'll give you some more tips on that. Practice management systems software are typically ICD-10 ready and will help with the conversion. For example, PracticeAdmin has a built-in ICD-10 crosswalk tool, and we'll show you that a little bit further. But also the bottom line of all this is with access to more data, physicians can improve diagnosis and outcomes, and we'll have a huge amount of data for population trending over time. It's just going to be kind of exciting, I think, to see all this data that's going to come out of this. What about you, Jim? Jim, any comments?
My comment is I was not at my best when they took that photo on the right. But I was attending a family reunion, and I did want to try to fit in.
Got it. Okay. This is an idea of some of the discrete codes you may have heard about. And TriZetto has been doing this wonderful sort of ICD-10 code of the week. And I've been posting these on our blog to share them with people. I love especially the turtle initial counter, struck by a turtle, and then bizarre personal appearance, which I think we can testify we have all had such an encounter. But the warning here is it's not really going to be that bad. And for example, our PracticeAdmin customers will have the benefit of our built-in crosswalk tool. Here's a screenshot showing that tool. And the nice thing is it also has the gems feature in here to help find the gems. And if you don't know what gems are, I'll go to the next slide here. Very quickly, a GEM is a General Equivalence Mapping Tool. It's a crosswalk tool that was developed by CMS, but it's not a substitute for diagnostic or medical coding. The coding specialists use GEMs to translate the ICD-9 base payment and coverage edits. And as I was saying, the GEM tool is built into PracticeAdmin. You can see here how you put in the code, and it brings up here the description and the subcodes related to that. Jim, have you actually had a chance to get in and use this feature?
Yes, okay. Several of us have tested it, and it's quite effective, but this is a good point to bring up something very critical. This is a crosswalk tool for pre-planning, for help. It is in no way what I was talking about earlier when I made the comment about the provider that was confused. It
Right.
does not do any converting. No one is getting any certified coding from this. It's in no way supposed to represent anything like that. This is an aid and a help, and as Tamara pointed out, it's the general equivalency mapping that CMS has put together.
Oops.
But it also is
Sorry.
Before you move on, it's time to bring up something pretty crucial.
Yes.
Crosswalking, Tamara mentioned some horror stories that happened with 50-10 conversion.
Oh my gosh.
You probably all remember that. Going back even earlier, there was another much less severe conversion that CMS did. Didn't have anything to do with diagnosis or CPTs. It was simply to switch over to the NPI number as a universal provider identifier for claims processing. That had been anticipated for a long time, postponed, just like ICD-10, and there was extensive testing and crosswalking. There was even crosswalking that we provided. There was crosswalking by everybody involved where you could be 100% guaranteed that your provider's number was going to be accepted. Well, the problem is CMS did not tell people that if you had been registered in or credentialed for a long time, Mr. Provider or Dr. Provider, if for some reason tax IDs had changed along the lines in your practice or in your group practice or something like that, they were going to reject every claim. They didn't make mention of that, and it wreaked havoc on people getting paid. So the reason I'm bringing that up is this is a major change. This is some big-time coding changes that affect reimbursement. That was a minor change that just moved everybody to a certified PIN number, and we still had clients. And I hate to say this, but we actually had practices who technically, or billing companies rather, who technically closed their doors because their providers weren't getting, they were small and their providers weren't getting paid and they weren't getting paid. So anytime CMS makes a change, it doesn't matter how small it is or how large it is, expect the worst.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Jim. Let's moving along here. So these are basically some of the tools that are recommended that you should have in place to help with the transition. First of all, your EMR or a PMS system, practice management system, for example, PracticeAdmin, the super bill and counter form. We also want to remind you, it's a little late now it seems like, but telling practices to have all of their claims processed as much as possible by mid-month. We've passed that, but still, I think it's still true. You need to try to get all that processed as much as possible before the end of the month. It's also nice to have online access to the actual ICD-10 book, or a lot of offices like to actually have a hard copy of that book on hand. The GEMS tool, like we just described to you, online, and what we call a cheat sheet. This is where you pick your top codes that you've been using, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Payer portals to input claims directly. We've talked a little bit about the payers. I'll pull that up some more. Okay, here's some more deeper tips. Let's talk about this for a minute. We've been telling our customers that a good practice is to identify your top ICD-10, ICD-9 codes that you've used in the past year and identify the ICD-10 codes and create a cheat sheet unique to your practice. Practice these codes, get to learn them, become comfortable with them. And using PracticeAdmin, you can use the primary diagnosis report to help identify those top diagnosis codes. Also, want to remind people CMS has allowed a period of leniency. I believe it's up to a year. During that time, until you learn the codes, you can use the unspecific codes to help keep things flowing. And I know a lot of people are going to be doing this. Prepare a list of your top payers with their contact information so you have that on hand close by because you're going to need to check with them. Also, checking your payers' readiness. This is a big question for everybody, as we all know. It often comes down to the payers and some issues they're having getting ready. On our website, we have an ICD-10 resource page, and on there I've got several links to payer readiness lists from our clearinghouses. So I encourage you to check that out and become familiar with it. We're also telling people if they don't have a certified coder on staff to consider bringing in a resource that is certified to help. We did have a webinar with Dell Medical Coding Services, and they had talking about why you want to bring in a certified coder to help during this time to supplement your staff. Also, training your staff. We had an awesome webinar yesterday with Medical Management Institute. If you haven't had a chance and feel like you need to learn a little bit more, I encourage you to go and view that webinar. A lot of good information, and they are also offering some special discounts right now for ICD training, online training. So I encourage you to look at that, and it's also online. And again, to have at least one copy of the ICD-10 code book in your office. Jim, anything to add to that? Have I forgotten anything?
No, except that was great, except just to re-emphasize that next to the last point, the awesome webinar you referred to with Medical Management Institute, they not only are gifted, in my opinion, and extremely talented and knowledgeable about the whole ICD-10 transition, they are expert consultants in medical billing management and office management and staffing and things like that, and they have a keen insight into workflow and all kinds of things. So they're not, just an ICD-10 focused team.
Right.
If it ever comes necessary, for you to look for some kind of assistance for yourselves or some of your customers, they would be an excellent resource.
And the nice thing with that also is it's all online training. It's self-paced. If your staff is not trained, this is a great opportunity for them to get trained with this discount and to get certified. Frankly, it makes you look good, it makes your staff look good, it helps everybody out. It's an investment in your business. All right, some top questions we've received. Jim and I, everybody in our office here, we're all sort of on call for ICD-10 questions, and it's been kind of interesting to see what kind of questions we get. So this is one from, I believe one of our customers, Jim, sent this to us. Has PracticeAdmin tested with state Medicaid and our specific commercial payers? Jim, you want to take this one?
Yep, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We obviously use some of the largest and most capable clearinghouses, and as everyone knows, clearinghouses do just what they sound like. They take claims from us and any medical practice that we represent, and they get them to all the different payers using all the EDI formats. So we've done our testing with the clearinghouses
Right.
who have done their testing with the individual payers. And from Tamara, I don't know if you have a report, but the last time we checked with the main clearinghouse that we use at this point is TriZetto.
Mm-hmm.
They were fully,
Yes.
I think, like 99% of the payers in the country they had done
Right.
some type of testing with. So we're pretty confident there.
Right. And again, we do have a link to the TriZetto readiness, payer readiness list on our website if you want to check that out and look for yourself on Check Your Payers. Okay, and this is another top question we get a lot, is should practices send ICD-10 ICD-10 claims simultaneously? And we get people coming in, why can't I just send both? And we'll just, see what happens. The fact is, after October 1, you cannot send ICD-10-9 codes. They will be denied. You can only send ICD-10 codes. Claims that do not contain
Tamara,
it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
There is one point of a contingency there.
Yes.
It's all based on date of service, and I'm sure everyone knows that, and we all take it for granted. But believe me, there are people out there who think that if they saw a patient on September the 26th and the claim wasn't entered till October 2nd,
right,
that they're supposed to use ICD-10 codes. No, they have to use ICD-9 up through September 30, and then they have to use for date of service. And then any date of service, October 1 and beyond, must be ICD-10 code.
Correct, yeah. Again, reminding everybody there is a period of leniency where CMS is not going to be as strict on using all the correct codes in all of the fields. They will allow you to use the unspecified code for a period so you can still get paid during that period. I believe this was for a year, but this gives you a time for the transition to learn those codes.
Hey, Tamara, can I comment on that?
Please, jump in.
That term, unspecified code,
yes,
that does not mean an ICD-9 code.
Correct.
In the ICD-10 code book, there is a family of codes, and the general code with the fewest digits and the fewest modifiers to the code itself is called the unspecified code.
Right.
What they're saying here is for a period of time, if you get in the right family, you'll get paid.
Right.
But you won't get paid if you miss the family. Maybe it's an ophthalmology diagnosis and you put an OB/GYN diagnosis. You will not get paid if you use an ICD-9 after October 1, and you will not get paid if you don't get the right family.
Correct. Thank you. All right. And Jim, I'm going to let you answer this one because I think you actually the one who provided this answer when we received it. Will there be delays in payment? I think we can say wholeheartedly yes.
It's terrible to be so negative, but everybody's saying it. Even CMS is saying that simply because everybody's doing everything at once, you're going to have a natural bottleneck and choke down in everything. I imagine reimbursements from most payers will be, even if they're not messed up altogether, they will be categorically slowed down. I've even heard in webinars and seminars and consultant sessions say, go now and start building up a cash reserve.
Right.
Look into lines of credit. I mean, the changes could be so severe on some people, especially the ones that don't expect it, like that catch-all that I mentioned about the NPI number, where something out of the blue caught everybody napping and you have to go through some kind of enrollment process or recertification or training. Just be prepared that severe cash flow interruptions several weeks after, probably, after you get paid from the ICD-9 codes, cash flow interruptions could be very frequent and very, very disturbing.
And I would guess that small practices probably will be more affected by this because they are strapped for resources and probably aren't quite as prepared for what's coming. That's a generalization, but again, I base that on experience from 5010. So let's see, I think that was, Here's the one we talked about earlier, Jim, that you were talking about. We have had this question, won't my EMR convert the codes automatically? No, they won't. There is no system that's going to convert it automatically, unfortunately. There's the crosswalk tools to help, but it comes down to you. It's a very manual process. You still are going to have to use the right codes in the right places after October 1st. But, and again,
Absolutely.
yeah, we do encourage you to talk to your EMR, your PMS vendor, to learn if they're ready and what they're doing. And again, I would refer you to a webinar we had with Savacity on what questions you should ask to determine if they're ready. Right, Jim?
That is absolutely correct. That was an excellent webinar that's recorded. Gave a great, if you are an EMR, those of you on this webinar, some of you represent EMR companies, you already know all this and you've got it pegged. But if you're not, if you're a different type of company and you deal with EMR companies, it would be a good idea to get in touch with them, because I know some EMRs have coding generators where they will automatically generate some basic codes, and that's in no way going to be a converting element. And many people may be thinking that's what's happening. But I would urge you and your customers to contact the EMR company if you haven't already and find out exactly what you're required to do, not what they're required to do. They're going to be on top of what they're required to do, but you need to know what you're required to do or what your customers are required to do.
Right. Thank you. I think that's the last of our questions. Let me see. Okay. We also wanted to, for our resellers, quickly go over the 6.9 release notes. Very quickly, the PracticeAdmin is releasing version 6.9 this Friday. So I wanted to make people aware of that. We have sent emails to our customers. I believe our resellers are on that list, aren't they, Jim, to receive those emails?
Yep, they sure are.
Great. And they're having the maintenance and testing window from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is just a little overview of that to make sure you're familiar with it and that's going on in case you get any questions. Receivables Manager is not affected by the schedule downtime. This is for Billing Manager and Schedule Manager. The new release features, let's see, a revamped menu structure for Billing Manager. It also has some updates required for ICD-10 readiness. Again, this is all conducted automatically through the system, and it's included in the monthly subscription fee. Also, we want to remind you that 6.9 is going to be including the support for Microsoft Windows 10. Note there when using Microsoft Internet Explorer 11, that's necessary to that. There are support notes in the support portal. Here's a link to that under the Help tab, and you can look for the latest download files. Important note for that is this will not be available until Friday to view all this. And again, let us know, reach out to us if you have any questions to our support team or to Jim and I. We'd be happy to help you find those answers. All right, and we're going to open up to questions from our audience. And again, I encourage people to go back and look at the webinars from the past month. We've had a webinar every week with different guest speakers and a lot of information sharing. Jim, I haven't received any questions, so I want to open it up to you to see if there's any final comments you want to share.
The only comment I can think of is just to repeat some of the key points. Don't take anything for granted. Some of our webinars and the speakers on there have been really excellent at bringing points across that none of us thought of, and I would encourage you to look at those. And you can, again, as Tamara pointed out, get them from our website. The presentations go along with them, and those presentations are very valuable. They have good information just in the PowerPoint presentations themselves, but the speakers, by all means, were excellent and gave insight into things that even we weren't thinking about. But the whole idea of these webinars is preparation. It's not, we're ready for ICD-10. We've been ready for, we could have made it last year. That's not the point. The point is the preparation all up and down the reimbursement side and the clinical documentation side. It's like a domino. If one falls over, then they all fall over, and there's so many chances for a fall over that we've got to all be on pins and needles, ready, proactive, and reaching out to people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not in a panic mode, but in a mode of information.
Right.
What do I need to do come October 1? That is a great question to ask anybody that touches you, your claims, your customers, your EMRs or anything else. That would be a great question to ask at any point. Maybe even your banker or anybody. Just ask anybody, you know,
Yeah,
what
this
do
is
I
going to
need to do
impact
come October
everybody,
1?
and I think we need to all sort of keep a level head and keep in mind that this is an impact that goes across. It's going to have a ripple effect across everything we do, and we can't really get in a panic or get angry, because no matter how well we prepared, as we know, anybody who's worked on software, something will happen that we didn't take into account, and we know that, and you just have to deal with it and work it out.
And with that said, Tamara, even if everything goes well,
yeah,
and nothing unexpected does happen in your case,
like Y2K,
the natural slowdown is going to be tremendous. It's going to have a tremendous impact on people's cash flow. So that's something to just be prepared for, irrespective of these other issues.
Yes. Thank you, Jim. Let's close this out, and again, reminding our resellers that we're happy you're on board with us. And if you have any questions anytime, contact us. We are recording this webinar, and I will follow up in an email with a link to it. If you do want the presentation or any of the ICD-10 presentations we've been conducting, just send me a message at marketing@practiceadmin.com. Also, we have some other resources available on our website, and here's the link to that. We also, as a reminder for our resellers, we do have some new data sheets available. We have a new overview PowerPoint that we'll be using, and if you haven't had a chance to visit our website, we've recently done a refresh of the content and the look of the website. Jim, you want to close us out here?
Well, all I can say is thank you very much for attending. Good luck with yourselves, your conversions, and your customers. We're here to answer any questions before, during, and after, and we hope that the information has been helpful. We also welcome your feedback and your input. If you have ideas, if you have gotchas that you think can happen, anything that will prepare us all, because we're going to all be affected in some way or another, and we're going to have panicky people giving us calls, even though it may be on something totally unrelated to what we do. Just expect a lot of that, you know, coming from both directions, probably from your customers and your vendors. So
yeah. Other than that, we'll all be on vacation after October. Right. We're all going to need it. All right, Jim. Again, if you guys have any questions, please send them to us. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jim. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.